Mobility Overhaul 83, everybody, and we're working on overhead mobility. And what I mean by overhead mobility is simply you getting your arms overhead and your ability to do so, whether that's just simply lifting your arms straight above your head or whether it's pressing weight, kettlebells, etc. A lot of people lack good overhead mobility, okay? It's one of them, you really have to work on it. It's not something that you just get from day-to-day life. We need to work on our overhead mobility. Why is it important? If you cannot keep you'll hear me harping on about it, if you cannot keep your shoulder blades pulled together and down, keeping this shoulder girdle stable, and then press your arms up over your head, straight, locked out directly above your head, as in arms in line with your ears, not out here, okay, then you're going to end up getting problems, especially if you're exercising. If you're pushing weight up and you lack that mobility, your shoulders are going to lack stability, open them up to injury, but also you're going to start compensating in many ways, whether that's leaning back the way, whether that's pressing out in front, when in actual fact it should be going up over the head. So a quick test, okay, and to be fair, everybody needs this in their life, regardless of whether you've got good mobility, bad mobility. It's going to be a good overhaul for everybody, okay? So quick test. You can sit down, stand up, but make sure you've got good posture. Try to keep your shoulder blades pulled together, opening up the chest. And straight away, just try to get your arms straight above your head, and you should not feel any sticking, okay? And you most certainly shouldn't be feeling the shoulders shrugging up. So this is a problem. A lot of people get to about here, and then tightness starts to kick in. They start to shrug. That's what I mean by zombie arms. Yep, best zombie impression ever there. You see what I've done? Happy days. So there we go. So that's a quick test. Straight away when you do that, you can feel things starting to shift if there is tightness there. And the areas that are prone to tightness is right in here at the chest, okay, right in here. You can poke your fingers in there, you'll probably find a lot of pain, so we're going to be working on that this morning. That's going to be pulling your shoulder blade forward. So if you find yourself sitting, and when I tell you to pull your shoulder blades back, it feels that there's quite a big distance to pull them back. You'll find that you default with that rounded shoulder. Probably a good bit of tightness in here, pulling all this forward, especially if you sit around with bad posture all day, or you just hold yourself with bad posture. Another place we're going to get tight is these lats, the big latissimus dorsi muscles. Okay, these are our back muscles, but if you lift your arm up, in and around the armpit area, this is where we've got the lats and also where the rotator cuff ties in. We get a lot of tightness here. If that's tight, you're going to struggle to straighten those arms out, because if you grab a hold of that area, really pull it tight and try to lift the arm, you can mimic what's happening there, okay? You can feel that tightness and what would be happening if that area was tight, which it probably is to some degree. And finally, you just lack all-round overhead mobility in terms of rib cage, first rib jammed up tight, okay? We can't get the shoulders to stabilize themselves. We'll just get tightness everywhere, okay? And in the back, don't forget the back. So without further ado, we're going to start off with the foam roller. And this is a familiar one, everybody. We're going to do a thoracic spine smash, okay? And what I mean by that is your entire upper back area is going to get smashed here. Now, if you've done it with just a t-shirt on, okay, I don't recommend, I tell you to tuck the t-shirt in, because it's just going to get jammed under the foam roller, okay, and you're going to embarrass yourself when you're going, So all I'm going to do is simply lie back, okay? I'm lying back on the foam roller, starting at the bottom rib, okay? Where is that? You'll feel it. Okay, you'll feel when you're rolling that foam roller when you just start to come off the rib cage. We do not want to be rolling that lumbar spine, okay? Well, that exposed part of spine is, when you see a skeleton below the rib cage, that exposed part, we don't want to foam roll that with this foam roller. Too much stress on it. So I'm working on the rib cage here. Now, before you go ahead, what we're trying to work on is our overhead mobility. So as I say to you, it's important that we mobilize ourselves into the position that we're trying to attack. So today, it's that. So when you're doing this today, get yourself on your foam roller, bridge the hips up so that we're getting a good bit of force down. From here, the arms are straight. Okay, I'm keeping the arms straight, and straight away when you start rolling on this foam roller, going up to the base of your neck, all the way down until you get to the bottom of the rib cage. Okay, that's your area of work. Straight away, anything in the back of your body, upper back area, that's tight, that's causing you problems to get that up overhead, you're going to expose and you're going to feel. Okay, by all means, please move your arms around, but ultimately today, because we're working on overhead mobility, I would recommend you keep these arms nice and straight. So what do? I do not just aimlessly roll back and forward. I recommend you roll back and forward once or twice just to get to know the area that you're working on, like you can see me doing just now. Okay, but then you're opening up to try and find those problem areas. So straight away, I'm going to start smashing side to side. Now, yes, I'm telling you to keep the arms straight above the head, but once you find a problem area in that position, feel free to move the arms around to try and expose it further. Revision for some, new to others, be aware of your lower back here. So if you can see me now, or if you can't see me, make sure you can see me. Well, lower back here, we must never put that lower back into overextension. I can curve, if you look again, I can curve my thoracic spine around the curvature of the foam roller and still keep this lower back nice and neutral. That's what I would like you to do, okay? That's going to let us get a good bit of force into that foam roller by wrapping my spine around the curvature of it, but I do not let. Big problem with this, you see people doing this. The position I'm in now, you mustn't do, okay? We're putting, see the amount of strain I'm putting on my lower back there by overextending it. I never want that. So I can be in this position, but by bridging my hips up and keeping a bit of tension on my core, I can keep it nice and tight, okay? So that's important. So we can overextend the spine to increase the force and get right in. You maybe feel in and around the shoulder blade area is where you're getting a lot of tightness. If that's where you're getting those areas of high pain, get stuck into it. Side to side, up and down, smash the area. We're trying to get as much weight in as we can. Yep, your neck might get a bit tired holding your big head in place, but that's fine. Okay, you can hold your head for a quick rest if you need it. So we've taught you how to overextend. What we can also do is flex the spine so we can curve the spine the other way. If you look again, that's going to help open it up all the bit more. So see how I've curved the spine round? Whatever feels like you're getting stuck into that problem area that you may have found, okay, that's what you do. So that's just a couple of things we can do. So get it done. We're going to smash this for a few minutes. And again, every so often, you might just need to give that head a wee rest. But don't follow a fixed. I've showed you the generic way to do it. Okay? Explore. You're looking for areas of high pain within yourself and you're looking to deal with them. Okay? Do not roll onto your side. You can see I'm rolling just slightly to put more weight on one side, but don't start attacking these lats. Okay? So we shouldn't be lying side on. We're attacking the thoracic spine is in the upper back. And I'm ending up on the other side of the room. So keep going, keep going, keep going, just so I don't roll off shot. So be creative with it, okay? You're looking for areas that need work, areas that might feel tacked down and sore. And you have to, everybody, you really have to put a lot of pressure down into this foam roller. Big, thick, powerful muscle group. Okay, that's why I've got the hips bridged up to try and push more weight down into the foam roller. So beginners, this might be enough. If you're a bit more advanced, what you can do is you can hold a weight plate, like I'm showing you now, like I'm mimicking now, or you can hold a kettlebell on your chest, and that's going to help get more weight down into that foam roller. But only, okay, that's a bit more advanced. And obviously, take care if you do that, but that's just another option. If you feel that, yep, I'm getting problem areas, but can't quite get enough weight on this foam roller to get stuck into them. So remember what we're trying to do here, okay? You're trying to deal with any problem areas within the thoracic spine. There's no right or wrong other than do not overextend that lower back. Okay, so we're going to have 30 more seconds there, so make sure you're making the most of it. Remember, explore different positions. We're trying to find it with the arms straight, because that'll help expose any areas that might be responsible for hampering that position. And then if I move my arms a different way and it gets stuck into it more, so be it. Good work. Right, finishing up there, everyone. Well done. Right, catch your breath. Maybe, okay, maybe. Right, now we're getting stuck in. So we've done a generic thoracic spine smash, and hopefully, again, every time you do something, just move that area around, lift the arms up. I want you to keep assessing, because you might just find that, well, that didn't feel like it was doing much then. Holy moly, okay, that feels a hell of a lot better. So keep testing every time you do it, because you might just find that the one that doesn't feel like it's doing much is actually doing a lot for you. That might be the golden one that you're missing, okay? So keep testing as you go. Now we're doing the lats, okay? So this is the one that's really going to hurt people a lot. I want you just to get stuck into it, everybody. It's as simple as that. It's going to hurt. It's going to be pretty awful, but remember the principles. We're trying to stay relaxed in that muscle group, okay? And you're trying to apply as much pressure as you can and smash it, because it's so easy to wince on this one and just kind of lie there, okay, like a store dug. So don't do it. Get your arms straight, boom, foam roller, into the armpit, into the armpit. It's pretty obvious where you need to go with this one. I want you to start at the armpit, okay, and then all I want you to do is just simply explore that area. Now again, remember, we're trying to mobilise ourselves into the overhead position this morning, so you might as well get the arms straight up overhead, because that's going to really help expose the lats. All I want you to do is roll side to side, okay, and start shifting up or down, depending where you are, until you hit the lats, okay. You'll feel it when you're on the lats. It's more as you lean back, you'll start to hit them, okay. Don't roll onto the front so much, because that's going to start hitting a different muscle group, okay. You'll feel like you're on the ribs. We don't want to be attacking that one yet, or this morning so far. We want to be attacking the lats, which is the meatier part, okay. It'll feel like your underarm, pretty much your armpit area, and trust me, if you've got it round about your armpit area, you're going to quickly find, as you can see by my face, I should maybe turn away the other way, you're going to find the area of high pain, everybody. You're going to find it. Most people have got a lot of knotted down, tacked down tissue in this area. So if it's hurting like hell, make it hurt like hell, but in a controlled and sensible manner. Smash it. It's the only way we're getting into this one properly, is if you smash it. Find the area that's painful and just get stuck into it, okay? We're only going to be doing 2 minutes each side now. Oh my word, it's brutal. I won't lie, this is a brutal one. But again, if it's brutal, think of it as alarm bells. This is the one I would say for most people, a big contributor in not being able to get your arms straight above your head. So if this feels really sore and tacked down, need I say any more? Try to keep this arm fairly straight. Don't be shy. Really look. With this one, it's a classic case of this feels absolutely awful. Oh my word, it can actually feel even worse. Okay, so you think it's nasty, you go down a wee bit more, and then holy moly my, it's even worse. So please, urge you, try not to waste time. Just get into it, smash it side to side, really grind it into that foam roller. Explore the whole area. Just make sure you are, in fact, oh, I tell you what, it's definitely up there. This is one of the worst ones, I think, in terms of just downright pain. For most people, I'm sure you'll agree. Get into it, everyone. Get into it. It's only going to better you. It's as simple as that, okay? Again, for me, with foam rolling, I just look at it, and the motivator for me, and I'm not just saying it, is that you know you could be performing a lot better. By simply foam rolling and smashing these muscles, you're unlocking a lot more potential power, strength, ability from something that a lot of people find boring. Yep, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but all I think is, yep, you know what? It's going to benefit me, as in it's really going to benefit me. If you do it properly, you'll feel the benefits. You have a lot of untapped potential. And I don't just mean in your head mentally, I mean physically. Our bodies, imagine you knew that your body could perform so much better than it is, and it's been hampered by bad mobility, bad flexibility. Right, we're going to change sides, everyone. But before you do, remember what I said, test it. Before you do, sit up, catch your breath, and have a wee moment. So test and adjust, okay? See how that feels. Maybe that feels straight away like you've unlocked a good bit of mobility straight away. Remember, it's not a miracle, okay? If it's that bad, it's going to take regular work. So don't just turn up this morning thinking that, yep, I've done my hour overhead mobility, that's me set for life. It's not, okay, especially these ones. Because what happens, get straight into the next side. What happens, okay, for a lot of us, yep, we spend, I don't know, an hour of the day doing this on a Tuesday, and then the rest of the day, we go back to our normal life. And for a lot of us, this gets forgotten about, okay? Mobility, form, posture. We just default back into our regular ways. So this little hour's class doesn't bear that much significance if you're just going about your normal life with your bad posture, your bad form, and not proactively trying to change it. Your body will adapt to what you do most of the time. And a 1 hour mobility class does not make up your entire day. So remember that. And I think what happens is when you start doing the mobility, certainly for me, when I started really getting into mobility and flexibility, especially with these classes, you become more aware of it. Okay, you start trying to incorporate it more into your day. Maybe you start overthinking things, but in my opinion, that's not a bad thing at all, because it just means you're more aware of things that other people are completely oblivious to. Those people walking around with sore this and that, this is stiff, this hurts, I can't do this because, whereas right now, you're getting the tools to maybe combat those things and you're doing something about it. You're looking for a fix, you're a problem solver. Go for it, everybody. Just get stuck in, do your best, try to focus on your breathing and not on the pain. If you're just lying there thinking, pain, 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 that's not so good. I know it's easier said than done, but try to have some form of distraction. Try to find the worst spot, pin it into the foam roller, compress it into the foam roller with as much force as you're able to get down onto it, and then you can scrub it by simply rolling side to side, up and down. Okay, but this area is tacked down tight. That's why we've got so much pain. So the only way to attack it is to smash it. It's not enough just to kind of roll back and forward. You need to get it into the foam roller, and imagine you're trying to grind it into pulp. That's how we attack this area. That's the only way. Oh, we attack this area, and then I want you to simply sit out. I can't even speak. Get out of that one, okay? Catch your breath. Again, shake out, get a sip of water if you need one. What a mess. Right. How are you feeling after that one on live? Okay, so that's a pretty brutal one. We'll take a breather. I recommend you take a sip of water or walk around and just let your head kind of level. But that's a pretty damn brutal one, and it's one that I encourage that you, from experience, you know, I'm not just talking nonsense. This is the area that a lot of people struggle with. Okay, they struggle to get their arms up overhead because this is all jammed up tight. So it's a simple matter of, for a lot of us, we sit round shouldered, or, you know, maybe we all sit with good intentions to start with, but a lot of us start to slowly slump. Yep, I'm guilty of that too. And then you're sitting there with these shoulders rounded, okay, and all that happens is this area is shortened, okay, so shortened, you can feel it when you pull your shoulders forward and exaggerate. It becomes shortened, and this area at the back becomes lengthened, but then it becomes relaxed in that state because we're sitting like this for so long. It relaxes in that state, so then when we try to come up, that becomes difficult because it's shortened in that relaxed, it's relaxed into that shortened state, so it's hard for it to lengthen out again. So we do that, it feels like a good stretch. We sit, and then what happens? Boom, it gets pulled back forward again because we've got so much tightness and weakness here, okay? So we're just working around the entire area this morning. So going from pain to pain, we're going to work around to the front, everybody. So we're going to work now into this area here, okay? Now, I want you to get your fingers in there before we go because I want you to identify what we're after here. Now, you've got your pecs, okay? We're not going to start individually naming each muscle group, but into here where they feed in and tie into the shoulder, I want you to push in there. You should feel a kind of cavity that your fingers can almost fit into, okay, right in the shoulder joint just before the shoulder muscle. So it's kind of where the chest muscle and the shoulder muscle start to tie in and meet. It's a kind of void almost. You can get in there. Doesn't it feel pleasant, does it? Now, what we're going to do is lie on the ball. I'm showing you here because when I lie down, you're not going to see it. We're going to lie down on the ball. We're going to find the worst area, okay, the area that feels pretty damn nasty. While lying on it, it's going to feel pretty horrible. We're trying to, as always, get as much weight down as we can. We're going to be lying on my front, and then all I want you to imagine that you're doing is trying to make a snow angel with just one arm. Okay, so we're going to be doing this, and what that's going to do is really smash and grind all that tissue here into the ball because that's what we need. Okay, so again, tightness here, pulling forward, causing that shoulder to round, giving us difficulty to open up that chest and pull the shoulder blades together. So the problem is with overhead mobility, there's so many different areas all working against us because we're doing things incorrectly. So it's why we have to do an overhead mobility overhaul, where we have to attack all of these, okay? Because one problem up here leads to multiple problems up here. So simply lie on the ball. Imagine you're doing that chest stretch that we normally do. So I'm lying on the ball, okay? And all I want you to do, you don't even need to move. If you've got the ball in the right position, you'll feel what I'm talking about. Now all I want you to do is push down into the ball first. Get to know that area, okay? If you get it right, and again, you're not quite on it, just use the other hand rather than roll around like a crazy person. Try to find, right, okay, that feels nasty. So what I'm going to do now is push into it. Okay, and again, this is one more like the kind of toothache sensation. It's just nasty, blunt, horrible pain. So I'm going to push in as hard as I can. Okay, and the good thing with this is you can hide your physog from the camera because it's going to be nasty. Okay, so you're going to be going, oh. So all I want you to do is pin it. Remember, don't be lazy. Pin it, push into it, and then from here, I'm going to turn my face away because it's going to make some horrible things. I'm going to start doing that snow angel arm. Okay, so I'm going to start lifting the arm up over my head. Now what you must try and do here, everybody, is keep the ball on the problem area. Now if you can't see me, look at me. I'm bringing my arm up here behind my back also, because that's really going to open up the area. So I'm going from here. Again, it's important you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going from here, up, around, over my head and down, and just simply trying to repeat that process for that area. But you're just simply trying to push down into it. In fact, here's a point, because I know some of you have got them. See if you've got a bigger ball than the massage ball, as in sometimes you buy these multiple packs with a bigger ball with the spikes. If you've got the bigger ball with the spikes, it's better for this area. So if you've got a bigger ball, as in a hard ball, it needs to be hard. It doesn't work, everyone, if it's soft. It needs to be hard. But if you've got a bigger one, it'll work better, because as you start to feel when you do this, as you start to lift that arm higher above your head, it's quite hard to stay low. It's quite hard to keep that ball in position. Again, that kind of depends on your chest, etc. But for me right now, I can still lean into it. I can still get a decent bit of weight, but just when we start to get to that overhead position, start to come off the ball a wee bit just because it's small. So if you have got a bigger one or one with the spikes, I recommend you use that. Now, I showed you the position. That doesn't mean to say that you have to stay in that position the whole time. Okay, as you can see now, I'm just simply pushing down hard into it and I'm just scrubbing that. Okay, now remember, we're not going on to the pecs here. We're not going on to your actual chest muscles. Okay, I want you to stay in that little void that I was showing you before we got in here. Okay, I want you to stay in there if there's pain, which for most people there is, but you have to really get pushing down into it. Oh my word. But remember, be proactive. Get stuck into it. If there's a certain position you get into, and it's better than get into that position and hold it. Again, another pretty painful area for a lot of people. This one will be an awful lot of tightness in here. And again, that can restrict. So you can see straight away, there's a lot of problem areas. All it takes is for one problem area, if that makes sense, to start developing multiple problem areas, especially when it comes to overhead mobility. Weakness in the upper back can cause tightness in the chest. Vice versa. Because your body will start to compensate if you're not moving properly. Right, we're going to change there, everyone. We're going to change there. Now that's one of those areas that I recommend you just stay on top of. Okay, it's not exactly hard to get into that position. But ultimately, it's a case of, you know, this might not be a problem area for you. Maybe you're not, but change whenever you're ready. What I would say to you is if you're getting problems with your neck, your upper back, then that's why it's a good idea to overhaul the entire surrounding tissue, because it's an ongoing thing. If you, so for example, I'll use myself as an example. For me, always get kind of stiffness and tightness in my upper traps feeding into my neck. If I leave it alone, it'll just seize up And then eventually it starts to feel like my neck is real tight, okay? When in actual fact, it's not my neck that's tight. It's feeding off of tightness coming from the position we're doing now, this smash here. Tightness in the chest pulls my shoulder blade forwards, out of line. My lower traps become weak. They can't pull that shoulder blade in. My upper traps then start working even harder than they should, which is where the tightness and pain feeds from. But what do? Okay, most people would just smash where the pain is, the upper traps. They just keep smashing it. Yep, that feels like it's hitting a spot. It feels like the pain's eased off a bit. A couple of days later, it's back again. Do the same again, eases off, comes back again. So if it sounds like something similar, I don't mean with the same problem. I mean, if you're constantly smashing a problem area and it keeps coming back and back and back, then there's clearly something underlying. Start looking at other areas of your body round about it, okay? Strengthen up the muscle tissue, smash the muscle tissue. Don't just focus on the problem area, especially if it's constantly recurring, because chances are there's something much greater at work in your body. Is this amazing thing. Your brain will make you feel like everything's central, everything's in line, everything's balanced, when in actual fact, you could be massively compensating and other muscle groups are taking up the slack from that problem area. And you just don't feel it. Anyway, I'm havering on, trying to take my mind off this. So keep changing the arm position while you're pinning and smashing that painful spot. And remember, we're trying to stay in that crevasse, if you like, in between the shoulder and chest, right in at the shoulder joint. Try not to venture onto the front delt, okay, into the actual shoulder muscle, and try not to venture too far down into the pecs. Good work, everybody. So if you're finding so far this morning everything's pretty damn painful, it's in on a pretty higher level than normal, then let that be known that you need to work on your overhead mobility. Most people do. Everybody that comes through my door here usually has a bit of ankle tightness that needs addressing, and 9 times out of 10, overhead mobility that needs addressing, okay? And it's pretty simple to address. Right, relax out of that one. If you're fortunate enough to have, I don't know, a big apple tree out your back garden or something, or you're fortunate enough to have a pull-up bar or a chin-up bar, hang from it daily, okay? That's a simple way to stretch out all these muscle groups in one simple movement. Just hang, okay? It sounds daft, but just hang, you'll know exactly what I mean. Especially, see if you find yourself, or if you work from home, for example, or I don't know, you work somewhere and you're quite flexible with what you can do, get a chin-up bar in the doorway, okay? Because if you're sitting down every so often, just get up and hang from it, and just simply try to imagine that bar is pulling your arms out the sockets, and you'll feel this getting stretched out, you'll feel the chest getting stretched out, you'll feel the entire area starting to sort itself out. So that's something I recommend you do daily if you can. Hang from something, hang from something. That covers the flexibility side of it. Right, we're going to move on to a trap scrub, okay? Now I'm going to show you the area. We know where the traps are, but I want you to work more on the upper traps because I don't want you to venture down into the shoulder blades, okay? Do not venture down into the shoulder blades because we're going to do some rib mobilization in a second, okay? So I want you to work on the upper traps. So remember, the traps as a whole, they feed up to our neck, they span out to the shoulder, and then they feed down to here. So think of them almost like a diamond shape muscle group, okay? And they're responsible for everything that our shoulder girdle does, okay? Lifting it up, pulling it back. That's what they do. And again, they get tacked down tight. We develop weakness in and around that area. We're going to be working on the upper traps, okay? So I want you to be working anywhere from out here to the shoulder joint, all the way in, maybe even up to the base of the neck. Don't go down into your shoulder blades, okay? So I don't want you to go down into this area. Don't go any lower than this area, shall we say. So work from everything up above. And all I'm going to do, again, quite simply, is lie on the ball here. So I don't want to be, we're going to do one side first and then the other side, okay? So all I'm going to do is simply lie on the ball. You probably can't see it, but I showed you where to go, okay? If you know how to do back squats with a bar on your back, it's where you usually put the bar. That's where we're going to be starting, okay? Or if you're not so sure, just the base of the neck. When you lie on the ball, you'll feel it. It's a meaty part of your muscle, meaty part of your shoulder, just below the base of the neck, in and around the side of the spine. And remember, you can go all the way out to the shoulder joint if you like. Now, what I recommend is you move the ball around with a hand, quick smash, move the ball around with a hand, quick smash until you find an area of high pain. Now for me, this is an area I know exactly where I need to go, okay? And for a lot of people, I think I say this when we do it. See the classic kind of massage, when you imagine someone giving you a massage, you're sat in a chair and they're rubbing your shoulders, all that nonsense. This is the kind of area that we're targeting. This is the area that we hold a lot of tension and a lot of tightness. These upper traps become very overactive because we all walk about quite tense. Okay, not all of us, but some of us walk around subconsciously quite tense, and these shoulders are constantly firing up. These traps are constantly firing up. So scrub. It's called a trap scrub, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to get that ball into the traps and just start scrubbing the bejesus out of them, okay, until you start to hit a right grisly bit of pain. Okay, when you find it, get stuck into it. Now remember, get the arm up over your head, move it around if you need to, okay? But by getting the arm up over your head, you can really push down into that. But move around, try different areas with your arm. But ultimately, just scrub those upper traps. And you have to really try and get as much weight down into them as you can. So don't just bridge up and push down, push your body down into the ball as you scrub, okay? Everybody's different, but I'm pretty sure in and around this area, you're going to find plenty of problem areas. If you find a real tight spot, as in a real spot of pain, pin it to the ball, push down as hard as you can, and then simply start moving your arm around in that familiar sequence for us. So we keep the arm straight, if you can look, keep the arm straight, across to the hip, up overhead, okay? And if you can find a position within that, enhances it, as in increases pain, then that's the position you hold your arm in. I feel I describe an awful lot what we're trying to do here, and I hope it's as simple to you as what I'm trying to say to you here. You're just simply looking for an area of pain, and then you're using all the techniques that you've been taught to try and break up that area of pain, because that area of pain shouldn't be there. Last 30 seconds, so really go for it. Upper traps. Good. Right, everyone, let's change. Good. How are we doing on live? Feeling much pain and discomfort around there? Yeah, we're getting something, getting a bit of feedback. Good. So with it, again, with a lot of people, we do subconsciously, how many times, relax. Oh, yeah. That's why at the start of a class, I usually get you to shake your arms, focus on your breathing, and just try and relax, because a lot of us walk around like this, okay, when this area should be relaxed. So what's happening there is, these upper trap muscles are becoming activated all the time, okay? And as a result, they're going to start burning. We're going to start getting a lot of knotted up, tied up areas within them, okay? And how do we get rid of them? Okay, so let's get stuck into it. Next side, everybody. So we're moving on to the other side. Same area, okay? It's easy. Just put the ball in. You'll feel that big, thick muscle group and just start scrubbing the area, okay? And if you can't quite feel anything, just get your arm back there, okay? Move the ball a wee bit. Keep scrubbing. It's a trap scrub, okay? It's not a big area that we're working on, so if you just keep scrubbing, you will find something. And when you find something, you know the drill. Get as much weight down onto it. Scrub the hell out of it. And the simple way to describe it is, imagine just trying to grind it to pulp in a mortar and pestle. You're trying to grind up those herbs and spices. That's what we're trying to do here. And we can really smash it by moving that arm around while pinning and compressing it into the bolt. And it is one of those areas for a lot of us, you maybe don't feel pain in it until you start poking at it. And then you realise just how bad it is. Good work though, everyone. So our traps are responsible for pulling those, see when I tell you to pull those shoulder blades together during a warm-up, etc., pull your shoulder blades together and down. It's the trapezius muscles that are doing that. So straight away, if there's tightness, if there's problems, if there's weakness in that area, what are you going to struggle to do while you're pressing up overhead? Think about it. Yep, you're going to struggle to keep the shoulders stable by keeping those shoulder blades pulled together and down. Those shoulder blades being pulled together and down should remain when you extend your arms up over your head. And what you see is, the worst thing, see when you start getting switched onto this thing and you start training in a public gym, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked by what you'll be, maybe even you'll be disgusted by what you see. But then again, for a lot of people, it's not ignorance. A lot of people are just completely oblivious to anything like this. You'll see people pressing weight up over their head, shoulders aren't stable, shrugging all over the place, and just opening themselves up to a horrific injury. And again, for a lot of them, no harm to the people, they're just not aware of it. They're just not aware of these little things when it comes to form, technique, mobility. A lot of people, especially, just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. I've got bad mobility, I don't even know what that is, whatever. Good, keep going. Last few seconds. Scrub the hell out of it. Good work. Right. Okay. For overhead mobility, for a lot of people, it's not something you're daily aware of, but once you start prodding in all these areas, it maybe starts to make you realise that, oh, wait a minute, you know, I've got a bit of work to do. And again, for a lot of us, day-to-day life, we don't do a lot of, I think the biggest thing that kind of opens up is when you start doing weight training. When you start pressing weight up over your head, okay, and you start developing maybe shoulder pain, neck pain, you're pulling muscles out all the time, that's when it becomes kind of much more aware to you. But for a lot of us, day-to-day life, we don't do that, and that's fine. But we live with bad posture, we live with all this weakness and tightness in around this area, and as a result, we kind of live with the side effects of that, whether it's shoulder pain, neck pain, okay, or just general bad posture. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. Was that a question, or was it a statement? I don't even know. Hit me with it.
Just say my neck was, that bit was quite crunchy, there's quite a lot of
Aye.
crunching noises.
Yep.
Is that all right?
Absolutely. Okay, now, with me, you can feel it. Boom, boom. You'll big, thick, dense muscles in here as well, and if they're wrapped up tight, when you roll over them, you'll feel the boom. You'll almost feel like you're going over a speed bump, okay, with no suspension almost, if that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, that's perfectly normal. You'll maybe feel that in other areas of your body, but I think with this area, although they're thick, powerful muscles, again, this is just an educated guess, it's not a thick layer like, you know, when we do our legs, we've got quite a thick layer of muscle before we get to bone. Here we're quite close to the rib cage, so you're actually getting pretty close to pushing the two, between the ball and the bone. So chances are you probably will start to feel when you start bumping over the thick parts of your muscle tissue. So yep, it's not wrong. It could be just an area of pretty tied down muscle tissue, so try and break it up and keep working on it. or it could just be a thick bit of muscle. But either way, it's not wrong, as long as it's not, you know, the kind of pain that we're after here. It's isolated pain. It's almost like toothache on a bigger scale. But when things start to feel the wrong kind of pain, it's usually quite obvious to people. So aye, you will feel that. Answer's yes. It's fine. I'm doing my usual. I just, Okay, now, we'll cut that bit out, will we? That's why I'm clapping my hands. Right, we're going for the same process, but a bit further down. Okay, so now we're going to be actually doing along the ribs, so we are pretty close to the rib cage. Let me show you. So we worked on the upper traps, pretty much the area that you can put your hand behind your back and grab upper traps. That's where we worked on. Now I want you to start at the shoulder blade. So again, we're going to be doing one side at a time here, one side at a time. So I want you to start in at the shoulder blade. For a lot of people, that's where you'll find a lot of pain and discomfort, in at that shoulder blade. Okay, we've got a lot of muscle insertion points around there. And I want you to simply start there and work down, 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 down to the lower rib. Happy days? Good. So without further ado, just lie in the ball. Lie in the ball and just find that shoulder blade. So I'm telling you to pull your shoulder blades together. That's the area that we're attacking. Okay, right in at the scapula, right in at the shoulder blades. So I'm lying on the ball, somewhere between my shoulder blade and my spine. Same again, just start scrubbing it. Okay, now what I want you to do is, as soon as you find that area of pain, if you can see me now, which hopefully you should, this is where, right, I've found an area of high pain, I'm going to pin it. I'm going to pin it to the ball, push down hard. Okay, you can maybe bridge up with the hips a little bit if that helps, but this is where I'm going to get the arm straight up. Straight up, keep it straight, don't start giving into it. Okay, no zombie arm, because remember, we're trying to mobilise ourselves in the way we're what am I saying? You know what I'm saying. I'm trying to mobilise myself into the correct position. So from here, I've got my arms straight, and this is where we can go get the arm across to the pelvis, the other side of your pelvis, and then up over your head, and then back up, okay? And then maybe move on to the spot that might not feel like you're quite on yet. Get onto it and keep that process going. So that arm movement is letting us really smash that problem area into your foam roller. Okay, so keep the arms straight. Remember, don't give in to soft arms. Try to keep your arms straight. And it's going to hurt like hell for a lot of people, this one. Keep scrubbing. Keep trying to break that area up. Work around the curvature. Work around the curvature of your shoulder blade. But you'll do that naturally anyway, because when you try to roll onto your shoulder blade, you'll hit the bone and you'll be like, oh, nope. So try to really get in to that area, scrub the hell out of it like I'm doing now. You find a problem area, it feels real sore, real tacked down, hurts like hell. Do the process, straight arm, across, up. And now I'm going pretty fast here, but trust me, when you really find a problem area, you'll probably not quite go as fast. So remember, we're trying, when we're moving that arm, to keep the weight on the ball and keep the muscle tissue relaxed. So don't move the arm too fast to the point where you end up jumping off the ball because it's too painful. I think I say also every mobility class, you know, this is an hour's class. It's an hour's class. It's almost like a luxury. It doesn't have to be an hour when it comes to mobility. You can break this full class down into a few days. Just start picking, right, what spot am I going to smash today for 2 minutes each side? Right, I'm going to do it in between my shoulder blades because that always feels painful. Or, yep, my upper traps are feeling pretty grizzly, all knotted up. Okay, today I'm going to do 2 minutes or even longer on each side. That's a good way to break it down, and it's certainly something that I'm doing a lot more of. Okay, you've always got little problem areas, little niggles. Now what I want you to start doing, if you haven't done so already, start venturing further down the rib cage, okay, because we've only got another minute on this area. So all I'm doing now is working down the curvature of, working down the curvature of my shoulder blades. Okay, I think I'm going out of shot now, better move back. So I'm further down. If you keep going, keep going. Okay, so I'm now about here. You might be there already, but a lot of people would find a lot of pain up in the shoulder blade area, so you might have ended up just staying there. I want you to start to venture further down onto the ribs, the exposed part of your ribs, and start to expose, not expose, start to feel, what's the word? Start to explore and see what it feels like on that area. Doesn't it feel nice, okay? You're on the ribs, boom. All the muscles within the ribs, boom. Getting hammered, pretty close to the bone here, okay? We're mobilising the rib cage. Sounds daft, but that rib cage should be mobile. Remember, avoid, especially as we start to get to the lower part of your rib cage. So we're nowhere near the lower back, nowhere near it. We're still on the rib cage. Halfway up the back, slightly below. Make sure you don't start overextending your lower back. So it's probably a good idea to bridge up. So I want you just to get to know that area, see how things feel, and again, things are feeling pretty tacked down, then that's probably an area you need to work on. But for most of us, it's more up towards the shoulder blades. I'm sure you'll agree is where we feel the pain. Right, one side down, let's do the other side, everyone. Let's do the other side. So it's quite an in-depth class this morning, but the idea is give you all the different areas to help improve your overhead mobility, help you identify maybe your own problem areas that you can go away and in your own time start to incorporate into your day. So remember, we're starting, really, see when you're in these shoulder blades, really dig into them, okay, really dig into them. So if you can get the ball in almost behind your shoulder blade, if that makes sense. So you'll feel the shoulder blade when you hit it. Try to almost imagine you're trying to get underneath and then push forward into it. So use the shoulder blade, the actual bone, the scapula, as a wall to push the ball into when you find these painful spots. But waste no time, waste no time. Get into it, get it done. So this morning there's no flexibility work, it's all mobility, it's all smashing. Okay, because the flexibility work, we're just going to end up sacrificing time on this stuff, which in my opinion, for most of us right now, is more important because we don't do it enough. So when it comes to flexibility work, you can't beat a dead hang. You can't beat just hanging off of something in a relaxed state and just, again, you don't even need, see if you don't have a lot of grip strength, see if you don't have a lot of strength to hang off of something. You don't have to hang off it with your full body weight. So there's no point jumping up, grabbing a hold of a bar, holding it for 5 seconds, and then you have to jump off because you've got no grip left. So you can find something a bit lower and just start to lift the weight off your feet. Okay, just lift the weight off your feet gradually until you get to a point where you could, right, I could probably hold this for a minute. I'll not take any more weight off my feet. So hopefully that makes sense. That's a great way to mobilise yourself overhead, because what we're doing when we're hanging, we've got our arms straight up over our head, the exact position that we're trying to achieve. And straight away you'll feel any muscle group that's tight, that's causing that lack of flexibility. Okay, everybody, start venturing further down if you want. You don't have to. Okay, if you're finding a lot of problem areas where you are, stay where you are. But I just want I want everybody to try and get to know and discover more about themselves. So start to venture further down on the rib cage and just see what you can find. See if you can find any tightness or pain in there. You might just find little painful spots, but you kind of, as you can see, have to get your body into maybe weird positions to really kind of get in there. Right. Time for the finale. Okay, now before we go into the finale, again, flexibility wise, if you want to stretch, hang off something. If you can't hang off something, this stretch that we do, that's mimicking it to a degree, okay, but we don't have the pull of gravity. That's going to help attack tightness in here. If it's a flexibility issue, that's going to help stretch out the lats, okay. In terms of chest, it's that good old one, okay? You can do that standing up. You can do it by putting your arm against a wall, a doorway, but it's better doing it this way, in my opinion, because you can really roll into it and get a bit of gravity on your side. So if you're looking for the flexibility side of things, that's how we do it, but we're not doing that today because this is an all-in mobility overhaul. So going into the final one, okay? I want to really do this in front of the camera first because most of these are probably going to have to go and stand in a doorway to do this. In fact, you are going to need a doorway. I'm going to use my squat rack to mimic a doorway, but before we go, what we're going to do is a real nasty one, okay? It's the first rib. What is the first rib? It literally is, yeah, first rib. It's in here, so it's important before you go away that we find it together. Bottom of the neck, base of the neck in here. Yep, collarbone, push in there, you're going to feel your first rib. Get a wee wiggle in there, okay? Now you're going to get better with the ball. That's the area that we're going for. Your first rib, okay, what that's responsible for, see when you lift your arms up above your head, your first rib should be like almost like a pump handle, if you like. It should pump down. So as you lift your arm up over your head, this thing should pump down to help keep the shoulders stable. If it's jammed up tight, which for a lot of people it will be, for most people it does need an overhaul, because when have you really done any of this sort of stuff before, that's the thing that's going to cause you to start lifting the shoulder girdle. So if you do have true zombie arms, you need to get stuck in here, because the purpose of the first rib is to push this down, so when we push this up, this shoulder girdle stays down. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to people? Okay, it's pumping down so that you can push up. If it's jammed up tight, you're going to look like this. So what we're going to do, everyone, and I'll move the camera so you can see, is I'm going to get into a door frame. I'm going to put the position of the ball. You'll feel it when you get in there. Have a play around. But remember, pretty much if you don't put it on your windpipe, just off to the side, right above your collarbone, and you really push in. So we're going to be in the doorway, pushing into the doorway, pulling yourself into the doorway to get that compression force in there. Once I've pulled myself into the doorway, I can start moving my arm around to help smash that area. It's going to feel pretty nasty, everybody. Happy with that on live? Does that make sense, the landmark we're going for? Good, right. Now I'm going to move my cameras around so you can see. Okay, so here's my doorway. Okay, here's my door frame, if you like. So I'll show you the first way. First thing I'm trying to do, get the ball in position. Yep, remember what I said? Right at the base of the neck, just above your collarbone. And all I'm going to do is push that ball in that position into the doorway, okay? So this is what you're going to look like, okay? Here's the opening to the door in your house. This is all I'm trying to do. I've got my hand. Simply try and move around until you find that area of discomfort. Okay, and remember, I want you to move around and test and adjust a few areas just along the top of your rib cage, and you should find the area I'm talking about, because it'll feel like a real blunt pain, okay? And when you're on it, you're on it. You shouldn't be anywhere near the windpipe, as in you shouldn't feel any sensation. So once you're on it, it's really a case of trying to get as much compression force. So I want you to use that door frame to pull yourself into the ball. Now that's your first port of call. Now I know most people can't see me because they're probably in the door frame, so listen up. I'm doing my left side, so therefore to mobilize this and smash it, I'm going to be using my left arm. Now, depending on the type of doorway you've got, dictates how you can move your arm. Now, I'm fortunate enough here that I've got a squat rack. I can put my arm out in front of me like so. You're probably not going to be able to do that, okay? Or you might be able to. It just depends how you've set yourself up. And then you can start moving this arm around while, just imagine you're trying to swim. There's no right or wrong. Move the arm behind the back. Try different positions, but ultimately, it's a simple case of getting as much compression into that area as you possibly can, and then trying to mobilize it. Very isolated, very blunt, very focused discomfort with this one. Okay, and just ensure you're on the right position. If it doesn't feel right, make sure you set up. If it feels pretty rotten, and pretty uncomfortable, everybody, you're probably on the money. Remember, we're pushing in to that bone, not the collarbone, above it, into that cavity where the first rib is located. Oh, and it just doesn't feel nice. Okay, and it's an important one here. If it's feeling really horrendous, all the more reason that we need to keep doing it. Right, we're going to ease out of that one, okay? If you're watching us and you need to come back to the camera to see exactly what we're doing, then please do. Right, we're changing sides, so again, it depends. Play around with your door frame, play around with whatever way you're setting up. But before you disappear again, remember, the purpose of this is I'm trying to get it so that the side that I'm mobilising, I can get that arm around and start moving it, okay? I want to be able to start, now I'm pretty limited where I am now, but I'm trying to move the arm around, if that makes sense. So I'm simply trying to find the area. First, just keep the ball above your collarbone. Move it pretty close to the base of your neck. Just push into it, move it slightly, push into it until you really feel that discomfort that I'm on about. It's one of them, I can only describe it so much. You'll know you're on it, because you'll feel it, it'll feel pretty horrendous. So first thing is, try and pull yourself in, use the door frame to pull yourself in. Remember, the first thing, the most important thing is trying to get as much compression into this area as possible. Once you've achieved that, and you feel you're getting a good bit of compression force onto the ball, that's when you can start moving the arm around. But as I move the arm around, don't ease off of the ball. No, I'm pretty limited in here now. I'd been better moving the other way. But ultimately, just push into that ball as hard as you can. It's not really an area to scrub, okay? You'll find that the ball takes up the whole area, so it's not really a scrub. That's why I'm telling you just simply to pull yourself into it as hard as you can. Try contracting and relaxing, as in really tense it up, really push in tight, relax a wee bit. And we're just trying to restore the movement to that area. Because if it's jammed up tight, it's going to take a bit of work. Right, okay, we're done. We are done. I won't bother moving all the cameras now, we'll just conclude from here. So I encourage you to play around with that position, okay? That first rib one, I left it to last because it's taken a wee bit more explanation. It's a very important one, okay? It's one of them that I know a lot of people will push that ball in here and it'll be like, what's this all about? Well, that doesn't feel pleasant, and then they'll never do it again, okay? You really need to be getting on here. Remember, it's not going to be a big exposed part of muscle, therefore it's not going to feel like normal foam rolling on big muscle groups feel like, okay? It's not going to feel like that when we're done. It's going to feel very, almost, very isolated, very pinpoint, very uncomfortable kind of discomfort. Uncomfortable discomfort. Oh, I'm on a roll this morning. But you catch my point. This purpose of this first rib is very important in stabilising your shoulders. So if you struggle with overhead mobility, that should be a go-to one always. And for a lot of people, you probably feel it pretty damn tight. You can get in there with your fingers as well, okay? Get to know the area a wee bit, because some of you might just not quite have had the ball in the right area if it didn't feel very good. Right, we're done. I don't mean to have a squint. The camera is here. This is the one I talk to. You can see me, okay? People on recorded, they get my eyes. So we're done. We're done here. Well, I'll just look in the centre, then everybody will think I've got a squint. Right, we're done. Overhead mobility. Again, you don't need to keep doing the full hour session to get the benefit. Break it down. Find your problem areas. Hopefully this morning gave you an idea. But in all honesty, if you struggle with overhead mobility, it is pretty much a case of you need to work on all these muscle groups constantly. It doesn't have to be an hour. 2 minutes each side. Thank you very much. Overhead mobility is probably one of them you might not have been aware of, but it's very important, especially if you're starting to press kettlebells, etc. up over your head. We need stability in the shoulders, and we need to make sure everything's functioning properly. Or simply, you've got bad posture, okay? This is a great way to fix it. If you sit there with a hunch, sort it out. Remember, the work we've just put in for this hour, it all goes to complete and utter waste if you just go about your day now, dragging yourself around, okay? Like, ugh. When you're sitting, get the shoulder blades pulled together. Start being conscious more of your posture. Don't sit there like this going, oh, my bum cheek's numb. Get up, do some squats, then sit back down. Got something to hang off of, get up, hang off of it, okay? Now, that's it, we're done. I'm just ranting on. We're done.